5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit it. And hello, I'm Michael. Is anybody else here?
Grace.
And together we are
California
Travel Videos. Wow. We're going to have to work on that intro a little bit there, baby doll.
We are. That went astray, but my friend wanted to say, hi, how are you?
Oh, I have a friend here somewhere too. I'm not sure. We got a special guest today, and I don't know what he has to say today.
Ooh. Okay, look, if you like my puppet better, hit 1. If you like Michael's puppet better, hit 2. And in the meantime, I want to say hello. So Lamb Chop, how about you? Hi, Sue. Sue will be our moderator.
Uh-oh,
hello,
I just lost
Diane.
one.
Hello.
Wait a second, we got number 3.
Oh,
here. Okay, oops. Hi there. How are you,
Hi. You look a little strange.
The better to see you with.
Everybody likes mine better. Hi, Denise.
And so Linda Barker, I see is here. Good to have you. Diane, welcome. And Sue, Super Sue.
We have a Captain Jack raid. Thank you,
Angie?
Captain Jack.
Welcome here. Hey, Captain Jack. You had quite a show going on today, I do believe. It was not the G audience, I don't think. Whew.
Is it ever?
Denise is here. I do believe. Hello. Hi, Denise.
I won this one, or I should say she won this one. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, and so did you guys get to see the opening? I sure hope you did, because it came about kind of organically, because I've been kind of feeling stuck with this situation going on. And I was kind of looking for some answers, and it came on my feed from 6 years ago. And I saw these 10 things to do when you're feeling stuck. So I don't think I'm alone in that feeling, because I think at one point or another, we're all going to feel that way. So does anybody have anything in that area that they want to talk about, or have you ever felt that way? And Michael's left me again. Michael, you need to stop doing that at the beginning of the show.
I know. I felt that way.
You felt that way? Yes. Michael?
Oh, sorry.
What are you talking
about?
TMI. So, yeah, I think from time to time, we all feel stuck. Sometimes it might be our job. It might be a situation that we're dealing with. It may be a relationship. It may be a place. And so tonight, I am very excited to say that our guest had many opportunities in life to find themselves feeling stuck and then finding a way to get themselves out of it. And before we bring them on, is there anything you want to say, honey?
Oh, lots to say. But first, I think we've got some more people there. I see Kenny there, Kenneth, a.k.a. Mr. Fordman himself, and a wonderful moderator. Also, we want to thank our moderators, Sue and Kenny, and all the others that are helping out. And so a couple others I see have come in there also. I think right in the number 1 position was it Tim. Yes, Mulbang for your book.
And James,
the longest 2 minutes ever, he says.
And the Dyson's Crazy Adventures. Make sure to check out their channel if you get an opportunity.
Absolutely. James Cantonese is here also. Dan, the vintage RVer, not just RVer, vintage. Sometimes do we feel like we're kind of vintage people, honey?
Talk about yourself, Michael. Talk about yourself. So Dan, the vintage RVer, says, you have lamb chop, but you have a blanket with a wolf on it in the background. Okay, so before we introduce our guest, I want you to go ahead and show you our oh, you know what? Actually, I'm going to rain check our little boy. You can see him back here a little bit, but we'll bring him up later. There's been a little bit of changes, and we'll show you later. So I think, what do you think? Can we introduce our guest now, honey?
Let's give him, it's like, man, we've got to get a little bit of suspense on it. That, it's like we want to kind of milk this just a little bit. So did you want to talk about your 10 items that we had come up on, what it means to kind of like us, purpose-driven life? Or in this case, this is from Adventures with Purpose, which is, what is your purpose? Do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Well, your 10 items? My
purpose is to serve you, love.
I was just going to say, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say, I am here for you.
Well, let's see if I'm going to try to change screens. I know I'm going to get in trouble for this because I've got already some things in the way. But if I go to the Wacom tablet, and I want to do it with this, so maybe I'll get Micro Michael here. So there. Okay, so feeling stuck is a sign that it's time to make a change. If anybody has anything they want to say about any of these things, give me a thought. But, there's been so much with the bug going around and what's going on with the economy and whatever it is, politics, whatever is your thing. So, yeah, I guess that, but some of us just in our day-to-day lives, we do have some things that come up in this. And so, at any rate, let's see if some of these resonate with some of you all. Even the tiniest possible step is progress. Now, Grace, where did this picture come from? You took most all of these pictures.
These are all my photos. That one is in the Napa area, and it is across the street from one of our favorite places. And in the autumn, it always looks spectacular from their balcony.
Something's wrong with that picture, though. There's water. Do we have any water left in California? Huh?
Yeah, I think in October, that's going to be all dried up this year.
But if you were to look down in that lower corner, in fact, if I can do this, oh God, do I dare try it?
Hello, Ronald. Welcome.
Here, look in this corner right here. You see the sheep there? I didn't notice that till just now. But yeah, so all these have good things.
Everything has its purpose, Michael.
They do. Okay, you do not have to have it all figured out to move forward. Fake it till you make it, whatever you want to call it. That there is some truth to that, isn't it? That one, I think, is our wonderful Pacific Ocean at sunset. Is that at Morro Bay?
Actually, that was our first overnight getaway for you and I almost 10 years ago.
Oh, before we were married, don't go there.
We had separate rooms.
Yeah.
At least
you did not have.
Did.
Yeah. You did not have to have it all figured out to move forward. I like it. Oh, there are hot air balloons. This must be down Lake Havasu. I don't know if any of you go to Quartzsite, but I think that's when we were at the escapees subgroup, and that was a wonderful time. Nothing changes if nothing changes.
That's in Windsor, that photo.
Oh, that was the Windsor one. Okay. Mm-hmm. New beginnings can feel like the endings. Is that a good or bad thing?
Both.
Okay. You own it. This one, I can remember that picture. Yeah, where we got the hummingbird feeder. Right. Beautiful things happen when you
70 to 200 lens.
Yes. I'll let you read these. I don't want to interrupt.
Beautiful things happen when you clear your life of all the negativity. And that's not always easy.
Easier said than done. Okay, and there were some more, but I think that's all I had for the pictures you gave me. So that's a good start anyway. So should we go ahead and see if our most featured guest, I'm going to get a drum roll. And
okay,
then
well, wait a minute. I have an introduction, though.
Oh, you have an introduction first. Okay.
I have an official introduction. So are you ready?
Do it.
All right.
Don't be staring at me. Give me a hand. Hold this thing for me. Don't connect if you don't know the pressure. Or if you're willing to accept the damage, go for it. Found another man chair, rocking chair out in front of one of the porches. And I'll tell you what, sit on the porch and do a little rocking and be able to watch some wildlife, and maybe some deer. Call them up. You know how I do. You don't need a whole bunch of stuff. You need somebody to share what little bit you have, and somebody to relate to and talk to and love and care about, like Jill. The word intercourse was commonly used to describe fellowship, social interaction and support of a community of faith, which was much a part of a rural community like this one. I did not know that. Well, what did you think it meant?
The first, the one, the best, Steve.
Hey. Oh, wait. I don't want this to be a seated ovation. There. A standing ovation.
I didn't know this was going to be live.
Some of us are more live than others, but I'm going to use my neurolinguistics. I'm going to be talking like you before the show is over.
Welcome.
Where's my red glasses? I don't have no red glasses.
Thank you for having me.
I brought mine. I can actually see you. I can see me too.
So where are you today, Uncle Steve?
I am in Pennsylvania, York, Pennsylvania.
York.
Now I have a question.
Okay.
Is this true or false? Intercourse, Pennsylvania, which I do know is a real place, is its neighboring town really blue balls?
Yes, there's blue balls.
Okay.
Yeah, they came up with some fancy names out there.
Over my pay grade.
That's usually where you go next after intercourse.
Yep.
Sorry.
Wow, honey, we should say this for the last half of that. Where are we going to go from here?
Woo. Okay, we can only go down from there.
Yeah, I'm like Paula, you know. So it's so good to have you here. But this workshop of yours is like, when I saw all this equipment, I didn't realize it was like my green screen. Yeah, I'm not saying I have a facade, but I'm just kind of like, you have some good background pictures, I must admit. We're going to have to up our game, Grace.
We're going to have to do something about mine.
Yeah, where's Grace's green screen?
Good question.
I'm just exposed. I'm exposed with all the elements.
But with our Siberian Husky, if you take a look behind her, I did get her
I
on
see
Amazon.
Him. Yeah.
A nice blanket there.
Woof.
Woof, woof.
So Dan says we have officially gone blue. So we were talking about being stuck. And so I thought that we could start this chat off with you giving us a little background information on what led to your current lifestyle and working and work camping. So we would love to get that information and that history.
Yeah, that's really ironic that you would start off with that, because that's exactly where I wanted to start off.
Wow.
I told you,
synchronicity.
Am I not a seer, honey? I told you.
I tell you, she's gifted.
So I tell the story different than Jill remembers it, but
that's a story into itself.
I have the real version, and this is the way it went. 15 years probably before we went full-time RVing, I sat down at a
campground and talked to a gentleman about work camping. He explained it to me and told me all about it. I had no idea until the time that I sit down and talked to him. And he was, he went on about the pros and cons and all that good stuff. But I was sold. I was like, yeah, I want to do that. But the timing was not right. My daughter was still in school, money wasn't right, too much stuff. So, a lot of things were in the way.
Tell us about your vehicle. Give us kind of paint the picture a little bit about this area. You mentioned other vehicles. So what were you driving then?
Well, we started off with a 2001 Dodge Ram and a 25-foot travel trailer. 25-foot travel trailer.
Wow, 25 feet, all dedicated to living quarters.
Yes. Well, that's how we started off. But what the stuck part was that I was working in manufacturing in a small company ran by a family, and it was stressful. I was in a leadership position, so obviously I had to make things happen. And we don't have enough people, but make it happen anyway. And I struggled with a lot of stress, working a lot of hours. And one July day, it was very hot. I was driving home, and I pulled into the driveway, and on our front porch was a real estate agent talking to my wife. And I got out of the truck, and I was walking to the house. She says, "Come on down, sign the papers. We're selling the house."
Jill needs to come in here. I need to talk to Jill. You're going to send me your phone number because I need to talk to Jill on how that works.
So
got to be careful.
So she loves me, and she saw that I was stressed and I needed a change, and we had talked about it ourselves. And it just wasn't right. But when we sat down and discussed it, we were like, it's about as right as it's ever going to be.
Right.
So at that time in July, we decided we were going to go full time. And then in 3 months, we did.
Wow, that was a quick decision.
That was a quick turn, man.
So basically, I think that was the second or the third slide I had. You don't always have to know the total plan. You just kind of, start off with a rough idea or a rough draft and go for it.
And that's basically what we did. We had the camper, we had the truck. We said, we're going to start off with that. And we had several yard sales, sold a bunch of stuff. And then finally the house sold, and we sold it to a young couple that had some kids, and everything worked out. We left our pets, our chickens, our dogs, our cats, everything with them. Everything went with the house.
Wow.
And we packed up the camper and hit the road.
Took the dog.
Just like that. Man.
No.
I
left the dog.
No. They can always go back and see the dogs.
That's
okay.
Grace, could you leave your dog?
No. That's why we got an RV, so that we could go on the road with him.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Time out. Our dog has some mats in a Siberian Husky. He's got like some hairs that, when we took him to the groomer, when Grace took him to the groomer and he came back, I have not laughed this hard. And since you've known me, honey, at least 5 years anyway, but it was 3 minutes of nonstop laughing. This guy,
Wait.
He looked like a French poodle, but he had like a big mane on his head and a big fluffy tail. He looked like on his head he was a lion, and his tail still had fluffy. It looked like it was one of those things you clean the mini blinds with. But his whole body was just like down to the nubbins. Like, what happened there?
So how about before you give all the information, I drop us all down, because I'm going to show a short and it takes up all the, we'd be in the middle of it. So I'm going to take.
Okay. We'll get the.
Okay, so he's not quite aware yet. It's early this morning, and he's going for a blowout. Woohoo! First, we take care of some business. Okay, we're here. I swear I think I'm more nervous than he is.
I would rather shave it so at least his skin can breathe.
Well, hello.
Hi, Mom.
What's your name? Go see your daddy. I know he's laughing. He's laughing at you. Why is he laughing at me?
It's not my dog.
Go see daddy.
What the heck has happened to you?
I still love you, daddy.
And this is what happened to me. I used to have a big head of hair until she took me in one day, and look at what happened to me.
That, honey, you were like that when I came into the picture.
Oh, was it? Okay.
So,
Anyway,
yeah,
Steve,
he's
you
so
were telling
happy.
he had a wonderful story going, and we broke the stride, but I want to go right back. The baton's coming right back to you there, my good friend.
Well,
so
yeah,
you were telling about when you're getting ready to go on the road now.
Yeah. I got to explain something real quick though, because Dan, the vintage RVer, he says he wants to know if it's legal and that we left it all, including the kids.
That's a good question.
Well,
No.
it's okay.
Now that I might have done.
You can leave the kids.
It's a package deal, Dan.
And the dog had been with us for about 5 years, living on that same property, and we had him in the camper before, and he just didn't do well in campgrounds. And when the family came, the two young boys like fell in love with the dog, and we we tossed it around, and we thought it would be better for the dog to stay on the property, that he could run and play and do the things he wanted to, and it would be great for the boys. So
I believe
it hurt us. We were sad, but we thought it was better for the pet.
Yeah, and I agree with you. You have to make the decisions literally based on them. And for this guy, he loves going to new places. Smell is everything for him. So to smell new things, and he just is amazing in that area. And that's exactly what this cut. It is not a fashion statement by any means. It's not to make our life easier. It was the decision that we made based on what was best for him. Yeah, and one that we're going to live with. But he's got his
I thought he looked awesome, all trimmed up. I thought he looked awesome.
Yeah. You didn't comment on me, though. How do I look?
No,
never mind. Don't say.
Hold on. I'll be back. Hold on.
All right. You lost your co-host.
Apparently. Well, why don't I let you go ahead, though, since we've interrupted you at least 5 times now. She's
I don't mind.
Oh, no. Oh,
much better.
She's going to trim him up.
Thank you, darling. So continue on with your story that we've rudely interrupted you a couple of times.
No,
Red
that's
and
okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. So we sold everything, and we loaded up what we thought we needed, which was way much more than we needed, into our camper. And actually, we drove over to a campground, and we stayed 1 more month in our hometown as we finished up our work.
What area was this now?
That's in York, Pennsylvania. This is our
in
home,
York. Okay.
home state. We call this home, and we come back from time to time to visit our children and our grandchildren.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I do know you go back. That's kind of your home base, and so I guess this was a spot where would you consider yourself kind of seasoned RVers at that point, or you're just kind of coming up to speed?
I still considered us novice. I mean, we had camped, but not long trips or anything like that.
Stuff. Yeah. No.
No. So we've learned a few things as we go along.
So this is not your first rodeo, as they say.
No. We've had many adventures now.
We want to hear about some of those, but I guess so. At this point now, you're untethered, unfettered, and you're looking for adventure. I guess would you say?
We do look for adventure, travel, and things to see, but pretty much we look for somebody to give us a free place to stay.
You can't beat that also. And so I guess you kind of knew that your business plan, your model, whatever you want to call it, that it was something is you would,
I suppose, the economic side of it is one side, but you seem like you guys are so doggone good with people. And I got to feel like, when you examine it, what are we really all about is if we can make the world a better place and have a good time doing it, that's really it's above the top of Maslow's hierarchy of need of self-actualization, I think.
Well,
But how do you feel about your relationships with people?
Oh, I love people. I love stories. I enjoy, especially, we've worked in campgrounds, but I enjoy talking to people about where they're from, what they've done, who they are. And I really enjoy that.
That's good, because we're going to get into this. I know that your wife, dear Jill, she's good in the office. And sometimes, it can be when you're in there and, well, I had a reservation and, I don't think I have to pay that. I'm not that it would ever happen to the two of you, of course, but conceptually, some of the others that you read about. But, I've always thought like maybe you're the guy back behind the woodshed or something. But then again, when I start to see you do your live streams, you got all these friends and family. It reminds me of, I don't know if you know Sonia, but she does not work camping in the traditional sense, but she's got a YouTube channel and she's kind of like a DJ. And I'm kind of wondering if you have some musical skills too. Maybe you'd want to up your game and get inside with Jill.
No musical skills.
Okay.
But so what's her channel? She's Sonia?
It's the RV DJ.
The RV DJ. Sonia is her name. Great
if
person. We've interviewed her a couple of months ago.
In the comments, if one of our moderators could put her link up, that would be wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, she's got 2 gigs going on this weekend, and Michael and I are getting ready to join the Escapers, and they'll have some live bands and DJs. And for me, back in the day when I was spinning my 45s, that would have been ideal. I mean, that used to be my fantasy dream job. But I've got probably 1,000 songs right here, maybe 2,000 on my my iPhone.
And we're going to get to it a little later, but he has multiple channels. Of course, it's just you would expect a movie producer, director, actor. He's got so many skills, but some kind of lift, video, vid lift or something like that. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but you want to go ahead and continue on with your stories. I've interrupted you the 4th or 5th time now, at least.
So we're doing fine.
Your journey.
We're doing fine. So anyway, we spent a month in our hometown, finished out our jobs, and then before we started work camping, we decided we would take a little trip. So we drove to Chicago and did Route 66 from the East Coast to the West.
Wow, cool.
So we took 30 days. We took our time. We drove to the Chicago to the very first sign. You're now on Route 66, and we traveled. And we had a blast. I mean, it was an awesome trip. We moved very slow, sometimes only 100 miles a day. And we just drove all the way to Santa Monica, walked all the way out onto the pier, and then, of course, went down and dipped our toes in the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, yeah. So were you getting to be pretty versed now at this point? With for Grace and I, with our Class C, the setup and set down, it's not too much. I'm kind of wondering, you got the trailer and you got to level it out and things. Did you feel like as you had your full time, or you're starting to get the hang of the protocols?
Oh, pretty much. I mean, we're pretty much down to about 30 minutes to wake up, get up, hook up, and move.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll go back and express that my wife is still having a hard time with our size, because she wants to go everywhere that the camper can't necessarily go. So as we go down the road,
no, wait a second. Excuse me. This is your driving test. You're still on probation,
I don't think so, honey. I think they passed the probation time period.
Well, he could tell some stories, and he will later, about where somebody's backing up and then they've impaled their trailer, right, or things like that. But
I've got a few of that. I've got a few of those stories too.
Yeah, I think you do.
But we're driving down the road, and she sees something that's awesome, and she's like, "I want to go there," and I try. Yeah,
right. Like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, we've been in parking lots that we had to ask people to move in order to get out of. We've done it all. I think I did like a 24-point turn once when we were in
we had one of those.
San Antonio. Yeah, so we've had all of that.
No, just yesterday I went shopping and I picked probably the worst time of the day because our little town has a tendency to get backed up around 4 or 5 p.m. And so I went to one of my favorite wine stores, a specialist in wine called the Grocery Outlet. Anyway, when I went to go leave, everything was going great. But when I went to go leave, the main driveway had probably a 36 feet Class A. And then the other side of it, right next to it, was the boat that had become disconnected from the Class A. And it was blocking that whole entrance. Plus, its butt was out on the main street. So all those cars behind it were stopped. Nobody in the parking lot could go anywhere. And this one woman thinks that she's going to sit and wait for a woman to unpack her 12 bags of groceries and put them in the trunk because she doesn't want to go down further and walk, 7 parking spots.
Don't judge now, honey.
there is like 12 people behind me. And I'm going to have to get it off my dash cam because now I'm yelling at this woman saying, there are 12 people behind me. Go. I can't. I'm waiting for a parking spot. Walk. Exercise is good. Road rage.
Grace, remember this one here? What does it say? You do not have to have it all figured out to move forward.
Oh, well, no, I didn't have it all figured out. I went to the middle of the RV and the boat, and I went out that driveway right in the middle where there are now 5 cop cars blocking traffic. And I said, officer, would you please help me get out of here? Some crazy lady won't move.
Well, thank you for sharing your story, sir, John. That was a good one. We're going to get back to you-know-who again. Continue on. So you've gone out to Santa Monica, and this obviously is not the end of your journey. So I guess
no. This is when we were in Santa Monica. What month was that? That
was
about
3 years ago, I guess, wasn't it?
November. Yeah, so we were in Santa Monica around November, and our son was in the Marines out there, so we visited with him a little bit.
Oh, what part of the state?
Down around 29 Palms.
Yes, sir. We've been there.
He was north of that. It's not Camp Pendleton.
Yeah. Oh, that's where we went.
Yeah, Camp Pendleton.
Yeah,
Camp Pendleton.
Yes, we've been there.
Yeah. Military. Beautiful place.
So we went down, visited with him for a while, and then we didn't really have any plans. We were going to go to Texas and just sort of hang out until our work camper job started, which was in April. And
so at this point now, I mean, you've certainly given a lot of lessons. We'll get into all the many over 100 pages on work camping, the videos, I should say. But have you started at this point? You were just kind of hit or miss, or did you start to find some of the trade magazines, or how did you even know that Texas would be a hot spot to go?
Well, we weren't looking for a work camper job in Texas, but the work camping industry has a predominant website called Work Camper News.
Right.
And it is a all-inclusive, nuts and bolts information on work camping. You can go in there as a member. You can write a resume. You can post a resume so that anyone that's looking for work campers can see it. You can look at job ads on their hotline job list. So it's a huge industry. So there's campgrounds posting ads needing work campers. It's morphed into more than that. It's Beet Harvest and Amazon. Penny's has a fulfillment center that they are looking for work campers. So it's very, but I think Work Camper News is probably the most prominent in the industry for work camping information.
And so the forums, I mean, obviously some jobs you sooner or later think, oh, this maybe isn't like my best.
I can't hear you. Did you freeze, Michael?
He froze. Look at that.
Didn't think so, but when you stopped me, I thought, what?
Your sound is horrible. It must be that $5,846 microphone.
That's, well, Grace, you'll have to ask her questions.
Yeah, Grace, go ahead. I'll just kind of go ahead, Grace.
What is going on with your microphone? Check that.
What's going on with my microphone? Is it? I apologize.
Yeah, it's a little crackly.
Oh,
garbled
okay.
Okay, it sounds better now.
Go ahead, Grace.
Okay, test. So continue to tell us about this journey. I'm very interested in it.
Okay, so anyway, Work Camper News is where that's the source that sort of drives work campers. It is not the only source. There's other sources out there. There's free sources, but I would say that all inclusive, that is the one that most people go to. We're a member and we find our jobs there. But we ended up in Texas. We sort of hung our hat there for a little while. And the campground that we were going to was in Missouri. But we weren't scheduled until April. They called us up and said that they needed us right away. So we left Texas and drove up to Missouri in January. No, actually, we drove up in December. Yeah, we drove up in December. And the owners were at the time living in Florida. And they asked us to help them watch out for the park over the winter. And we said, okay. Actually, they did get a little bit. It wasn't terrible, but it was cold. It was our first winter in a camper. And we had some things freeze up, like, water and black tank and stuff like that. But we learned very quick.
So was it on the job training where you got all these, fix it and do it yourself ideas that you show?
Pretty much, work camping, as far as the outside, the maintenance and the things that you do, is pretty much what you do if you take care of a house. Sometimes you do a little bit more than that. It just depends on the individual and how much experience they have. But for the most part, if you can mow grass, weed eat, you can be a work camper. And, there's other jobs, there's retail jobs and things like that. That's a little bit different, but most places will give you training. They're just looking for some.
I saw a place, it's some type of a carnival in one of the Midwestern states. And
yes.
Everything's almost ran by the work campers that come by. So how long are the gigs when you do the work camping?
It varies between jobs. Campground jobs, they like you to stay for a season. So, they'll like you to stay from April till October or September, whatever their campground season is. And then for campgrounds that are open during the winter, they like October till April. So it just depends. The other types of work camper jobs, some of them are, a month up to 6 months. Some people find a place and stay for years. It just depends on the individual or what they want.
So do you get itchy feet after so long and say it's time to move on?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, real bad. We've been here 2 months and I've already got itchy feet. But, it's not bad when you're, like right now, we're sort of on vacation. So we don't have purpose right now.
Your purpose is on vacation.
Yeah. That's, I'm not ready for vacation that long, I guess. I don't know.
Eat, drink, and be merry, I guess.
Yes. But
you did have one where you had an assignment of about 9 months or so, but they wanted you to re-enlist. And so if you've got a great spot, you like the people, and some of them, like you say, you may get actually a salary besides the spot where you can stay and get some electric. So I guess some of the places, at least one, you've stayed for a longer period, right?
Yes, we stayed 2 seasons. It worked out really good for us. It wasn't the plan, but we stayed 2019 summer season at a campground, and the owner and I were talking about projects for the winter, and he talked me into staying the winter. So I stayed the winter, and then we were talking about the next season, and he talked me into another season. So by chance, it happened, in 2020, and you know what happened in 2020, the whole pandemic.
Yes,
so
we do.
we were in a perfect spot. We had a job, we were still working, the grass still needed to be mowed. We did go through some changes, but it was a blessing. If we had been in between jobs or something like that, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, provide the lodging, and you probably didn't have a lot of, well, I guess Jill probably wasn't getting as many people, at least in the March to maybe summer period, because who knows what was going on. But
Right.
Yourself, now I get the feeling like you've got a lot of skills. And so tell us a little bit about, as a work camper, is that, do they, when you get the interview, do you have say, well, I'm qualified to, obviously I see you paint, and I don't know what it is about South Carolina where you have to blow up the toilets rather than clean them out. But I realize there's some different techniques used in different states. You can tell us about that. But I've seen where you got some wires in your hand. I don't know if they call you a Sparky, but you're hooking up air conditioners. I get the feeling like they don't teach you that on the job, that you kind of, you're not just off the turnip truck.
No, I grew up in manufacturing. I did time in the service, but then I got out and I got into manufacturing. So I've worked, factory maintenance and things like that. So I've played around with some wires and plumbing and, some of that stuff. And most of it I've learned by hard knocks or hard shocks, whatever you want to call it.
Oh no.
Now the
experience.
the whole toilet thing is sort of a merger of two thoughts. Okay. I don't necessarily blow up toilets, but in the South, they do fish with dynamite.
That is true. Yeah.
So I thought, as a child, you always wanted to drop an M80 down the toilet and see what.
Oh, you were one
happened.
of those boys.
Well, no, I never did it. So I figured between the two, I could marry it and sort of come up with the concept of a toilet blowing up. So
I understand now. Gets some spick and span, doesn't it?
Dynamite is a guy thing, I think.
We're sterilizing is what we're doing.
That is one way to sterilize.
But skill-wise, for a work camper, for the outside end of it, seriously, if you can mow the grass and weed eat, and you know a little bit about maintenance, I mean, not anything major, but you could change a light fixture or a light switch, a little bit about plumbing, you look under there, it's a leak. How do we fix it? Those simple things, you'll fit. And for state parks, for the most part, all they want you there for is a greeter, someone to see people, say hello, how are you, what do you need, things like that.
And state parks are beautiful.
And as a camp host, you can, just about anybody can do that. I saw an ad. It was out west, and they were looking for camp hosts to walk around and notify people about bear regulations.
Wow.
That's all you did. There were three.
That's a Captain Jack job.
Yeah. There were three.
Bear regulations, get it?
There were three campgrounds. You'd walk through the campground and you'd look and see that everybody was abiding by the rules. And if they were not, you'd go over and nicely say, you got to get out of the park.
Wow.
No.
I don't know. That would make me nervous.
Tell them the rules and, explain to them why and move on.
So your people skills on those types of jobs, both for Jill and you, were, if not paramount, they're very high. In fact, I would think if you were owned a campground and you're getting the Steves and the Jills, is that, we had some conversations and emails back and forth about this thing about, does a person work camper, are they an independent contractor? Are they working, they get W-2s, this whole thing. And, if workman's compensation, who's responsible for you? So I think you've kind of said that the state of the industry and your need, or if not preference, is that have a spot where, you're going to do the best you can. You're going to be careful and respectful and try to minimize risk. So you're not going to leave a wet, slippery floor in some nobody's going to go in and slip on the bathroom floor. But is that kind of what I understand? Is this your the type of jobs you find, and hopefully that's what most of them offer?
Yes, yeah. There are very few. I did do that. I think it was the live stream, but there are a few that may ask for or give you a 1099 and ask you to be an independent contractor. But I wouldn't recommend anybody doing that for camping. I think most campgrounds, when they hire a work camper, that work camper is covered under the policy that the campground has.
Yes, sir.
I think it should be. Some campgrounds, if they're paying you, they'll have you'll draw a W-2 and you'll be an employee. Other campgrounds, if you're just working for a site, most of them, there's no paperwork, there's no shaking the hand. You agree to work so many hours and they give you a site, which is what a lot of the retirees prefer, because they're not necessarily looking for money. They're just looking for a place to hang their hat for a season and go do the things that they enjoy in that area, and then move on to the next place.
Right. Save up some money, save up some of the retirement or the Social Security, not have a lot of output, and I'd be ready to rock and roll on the next season.
So when you're on your off hours now, it seems like I've seen you do some live streams, and you'll do a live stream maybe in like, I guess, a community center or something sometimes. And some of the folks might be interested in kibitzing, watching, or participating. And so I guess I sort of get the feeling like you are Uncle Steve and Aunt Jill, and you're kind of family. And it's, it's more than just an employee. You're almost like a strategic partner of the company. Is that kind of uncommon, or how do you feel that out as when you get to be where, you get to have that special relationships?
Well, for us, it's I enjoy it. I love it. I think it's great. And especially working at a campground, because a lot of campgrounds, they'll have return visitors, and you start to know them and, by their name. You stop and you chat with them, and then the next thing you know, the next week they show up and they're like, "Hey, how you been?" And so you develop a relationship. I still have followers that come on the channel and I see the name, but I can't place the face. But I know that I know them.
And you've met them.
And some young children, I've met their parents. I met the children, and they're like, "Oh, Steve," and it's really special. It's I don't know. It's a
awesome community.
Oh yeah.
It's a total community. I know Michael and I have found that.
That is funny, because we're, as being in service organization things, you go in because you like the people, and then you meet other people. They say you are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with, but then as you get doing the community service projects with the people, or in RV life, when you get a chance to meet the people, it's like I think it goes to another level of endearment where you feel like, this is my new persona. This is not just check the box and check out at the end of the day.
Sue brings up a very interesting point here, and I think you might have a little to add to this, Michael. It was cool seeing Steve Turtle on the PBS specials they did on Nomads. Very cool. So can you tell us a little more about that?
Well, it was the winter of 2020. A young lady contacted me from PBS, and she asked if I would be interested in doing an interview. And I said, sure. And she was based in New York, and she said she had to arrange for a time that her and her crew could come down to the campground and meet with us and have an on-screen interview and shoot some B-roll. So we set a date, and they came down. Now, at this time, it's cold, the campground's closed, and I couldn't do a lot of B-roll that work campers normally do. But, we got some shots, and we did a personal interview, and then they went away. And then COVID hit in 2020, and the project was put on the shelf. So I thought the project was going to die. I didn't think that they would pursue it. And at the time that we met, there were going to be 2 videos, or 2 PBS shows. And one was going to be Bob Wells, and the other one was going to be myself. Well, anyway, between the COVID and everything else, they finally went to Quartzsite in January. They got video there with Bob Wells. They did end up calling me back and say, okay, the video is on. It changed a little bit, but we worked it out. We exchanged some B-roll, and they did the story, and it was awesome. I mean, I was proud to be a part of it. I was actually, I never expected, PBS to call me up and say, hey, we want to do a story on you. So I'm grateful and proud that they did.
Well, we are huge fans of PBS, so we actually did see that, and we did the same as Colorado Martini when we saw it. Hey, we know him. So that was kind of cool, So do people come up to you now and say, I know you?
Every once in a while, not a lot.
I'm
not that popular. I'm not that famous.
I'm going to go over to the actual. Now you can go to the PBS if you were to search for PBS space Nomad Land. This was done as kind of like a teaser for the movie that was coming out. And yes. But I'm going actually to their YouTube channel for PBS, and at that spot I can see. Let me go to this other screen, and
we definitely want.
I get myself just a little bit smaller here, over there.
Make you bigger.
And
there.
So on the road and online, how the people that inspired it, and I'm not going to get caught for a content ID copyright violation, so I'm going to be a little bit careful here. But if I pull it up, there is Judy Woodruff, of course.
Looking good.
Looking good as always. And I don't remember the exact timestamps, but there was, as he said, there's some good old Santa Claus, Bob Wells.
D, I see D.
Yes, and Bucks Van T there. And there's a couple spots where
it's right after her.
Are there. And it's about minute 3 or number 4. I don't have it there, but I'm kind of curious. You're in 2 segments there, and I'm just kind of curious as that they obviously had to find your channel, which said a lot about you. You were right before this one. Let me go back a little bit.
About 5 minutes in.
There we go. Here's Uncle Steve, and so I think we're probably okay here. And I maybe put in the audio here. What the heck? I don't know if it's coming or not, but oops, a little bit more back here.
I think we met her before too.
But this video right there was right there. This is one of your big time videos, and so I don't know if they know that to look at Social Blade or whatever, find out which are most popular. But this was a hot video. Do you remember this one, Steve? You want to tell us a little bit about this video? That was a good one.
That's actually pretty cool. It was sort of a series because I was on a live stream and some people were talking to me about camp hosting, and the host of the show, and I can't remember whose live stream it was, but they said they wanted to work camp, but they didn't really want to work. They just wanted the camp host sign in the front of their camper so they could stay for free. So I came up with this thing, camphostingNotReally.com, and I created the camp host sign, and I sort of, carried that on about 3 or 4 videos, but it was a hoot because I just sort of went from that premise, that thought, and made up a whole bunch of stuff like, there's not really a camp hosting, not really website, and I was making signs and selling them online, and so it was a whole bunch of nonsense. But in the process of that, I thought, well, wouldn't it be sad if a work camper was out of work and he had to sit on a bucket in front of a store and, hope for somebody to come by and give him a job?
You are a genius when it comes to setting up these types of scenes here. And, I just myself, I thought this guy's genius. So
that leads me to my next question, because just last night I was telling Michael, he and I met almost 10 years ago on a night that was a bioluminescence. And so that 10-year anniversary is coming up and I want to go back. And I looked over to this trunk that I keep all my hats, and I had this vision pop in my head where I'm going to throw all my hats out saying, I know I have it, and find the one that I was wearing that night that I met Michael. Yeah. So how did the YouTube and the videos all come into play? Where did you get your inspiration and your ideas?
Well, my original thought for the work camping channel on YouTube, when I was getting ready, it's funny seeing myself up there.
It is. Sorry about that.
No, it's funny. I watch these older videos and they're sort of reminiscent of different periods of time and situations. But yeah, so when I was researching becoming a work camper, I did not find a lot of videos about the actual work camping job. You know, there's Work Camper News, and they had stories and interviews and things like that. But I couldn't find YouTube videos that talked about the work. Mm-hmm. They talked about, we go to Niagara Falls, we go up here to Boston, we go places, and we do that because we're work campers. But they didn't really talk about what they did. So I thought I would like to help people that are searching for that type of content, because I didn't see any of that. You know, what's the job like? What do you do? What's the environment? How do you, what do you work in? What are some of the obstacles, pros and cons, and things like that? So the channel came about because I just wanted to share the work camper experience as I saw it, firsthand.
Well, I think your timing was, as they say, spot on, and everything happens for a reason. And our shirts say, what's your purpose? And I think your purpose is, to teach people about this opportunity that's out there. And to do so with grace and humor, because a lot of times I think people have a misconception. We're all making our choices on how we want to live our life, but work camping is something that you can do with a lot of pride because you're living your best life.
Now you say this, yeah. I've got an epiphany for you, is that nomad land mentor. You are the, you know how the work campers and security people, they always have these trainings on, how you'll do this. And you could be like, you could have a full courseware and things like that, and you and Jill could do seminars. I mean, no, it sounds like work, but, let the little people do the work. You're just the big cheese.
Yeah, well, I'm not the only work camper channel out there. There's several very good ones. I think Camper Size Living, they're probably they're close to 10,000 subscribers or so, and they do videos about work camping. They talk about the job and what they do and the pros and cons. And I believe they're a very good channel. There's Grassroots Living.
Yes.
They're a popular channel and they're doing very well.
Oh, but Shailene and Dean are friends. I got to say is, we won't say that they were cheating, but when they got into knitting, they more than doubled in a month. So if you could learn knitting, I mean, there's hope for you. Quilting. Excuse me.
I told Jill, I said, we need to go to Missouri and interview, what's her name? Dawn.
Dean and Shailene? Oh, okay. Dawn.
Hey,
yes.
Speaking of Grassroots Living, look who's here.
Well, look at that. Dean and Shailene. Good to see you guys.
How you doing? Shailene was in one of those videos on PBS.
Was she?
Yes. She was at Quartzsite and she was talking to another channel. And it's just a quick shot, but Shailene's in that. And several other YouTube channels that are work campers. But yeah, Grassroots Living, they're work campers, and RV Squat. So there's others that are doing the same thing I'm doing, and I think we all have something to share. YouTube's a broad base of knowledge, and you can find lots of information if you search for it.
So if you could solo me for just a second again, Grace, because I want to go to their channel and I want people to be aware of Steve Turtle. So it's a great name. I mean, it's so easy to find. You say Steve Turtle, and then if you go to their videos, and then at their videos, then just type in the word work camping, although a lot of them are. But if you're typing the work camping, and then hit the enter key, is you will be, at least I was so surprised. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce the screen size a little bit. So, okay, so here we go. I'm going to put like, I think we've got 1, 2, 3 on the screen at a time. And so there's one that we talked about, got 3,000 views a year ago. And I'm going to hit the page down and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's got about 100 times I hit page down. I thought, he's got a couple hundred videos on Workcamper. What haven't you covered? What do you have left?
You know, Jill and I talk about that all the time, but there's always something. You know, if you work at a campground, it's just always something to talk about, whether it's work camping specific or if it's camping or, you know, going over to intercourse.
Definitely. And you know, I cut out the part that you said that we were in the middle of intercourse.
Oh, good.
But now
You're very creative, and I'm just kind of curious, do you kind of off the cuff? I mean, I've found that sometimes I just like, I'll write down ideas. It may not be ripe yet, but you know, it's like you have kind of things on your possible to-do list, but then some others, I suppose they're well choreographed. And when you get to a certain city, you've got an idea, but just tell us a little bit about your creative process. Cause you know, you are truly a storyteller. And on that, maybe you can even blend in a little bit about VidLift. Inquiring minds must know.
And with that, I just want to point out this comment because I think things like this are really important when we talk about what is your purpose. So Camping Therapy says, Steve Turtle is the one that encouraged me to start making videos for YouTube. So what do you think when you hear things like that? How does it make you feel to know that you're an inspiration for other people?
Other than you want royalties, you know, just on we're talking about the puristic side.
No, she's special. I met her when I was at Millbridge Village Camp Resort. She was a work camper there prior to me. We didn't work together, but she came over one day and knocked on the camper door and we talked. And she explained to me how she had a hobby and she had a Etsy store, or one of them. She had a store, but she explained to me about that. And I said, well, why don't you have a YouTube channel? She goes, I don't have time for that. And we talked, and the next thing you know, she's like, I started my YouTube channel, and then she starts producing videos, and next thing you know, she's got 2 YouTube channels. And she just started. I mean, she didn't have, you know, it wasn't finished. She had a plan, obviously, but she knew what she wanted to do, and she started doing it. And she's really done well. She's reached 1,000 subscribers. She's monetized.
Yeah, she's tenacious.
And she has a very good content. I mean, it is searchable. People are looking for it. And it's what she does, which is the greatest thing. You know, if you try to do something that everybody's searching for, but it's not you, it comes across sort of fake and, you know, not real. But if you do what you do and it's popular, then you got it hooked. That's it. But yeah, she's done very well. I'm proud of her.
Aw, that's a wonderful thing to hear from the person that inspires you, is that you're proud of them. So that's, you know, I have come, the older I get, the more I realize that there are no accidents, that we're all here because that's exactly where we're supposed to be. And we meet the people along the way that strengthens our journey or makes us stronger or makes us better people. You know, I put up the thing at the very beginning. If you didn't see it, go back at the very beginning and watch this again, about the 10 things to do when you're feeling stuck. And I told Michael it was so weird, the things put in my path at the very time I needed it the most. You know, so somewhere along the way, Steve, you are popping up in people's feed exactly when they need you the most.
Well, that brings up a story, Grace. If I have a minute, I'd like to tell it.
Yes.
So I was working in manufacturing. I had a gentleman that was working for me. He was a shift lead on the night shift. and he wasn't happy with what he was doing. And he came to me one night and he said, I want to do more for the company. I want to be in another position. I want to be in a better position, a higher position, more responsibility. And I told him, I said, well, right now we don't have anything except for what you're doing. And he was a little bit sad. And he said, I feel like I need to do more. And I said, well, here's the thing. I appreciate all the work you do. And I think you're an outstanding leader for that, job that you're responsible for. I said, but if you're not happy doing the things that you're doing, you should stop doing them. You should go find something that makes you feel better. The next morning he walked in, handed me his keys and said, I'm done.
What a coach, huh?
I said, well, I didn't mean it quite like that. I was hoping for like a 2-week notice or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But he said, yeah, I laid in bed and thought about it last night. And he goes, you're absolutely right. I need to do something different. And he left, walked out the door.
Whoa, they took you pretty literally.
Oh my God, my head, I swear to God, it's this whole RV DJ, everything in my head is always music. You said walked out the door. My head said, just turn around now because you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one?
Oh, yes. That was a great song.
I will survive. But we will all survive. And we know, I think, ourselves better than anybody else. So I think sometimes we have to just go for it and live our dream and live our passion.
Right. Yep.
So do you have any advice for those thinking about doing what you did and just selling the house and getting out there on the road?
Well, yes and no. I wouldn't tell anybody that what I did was the best way. It was the way that we chose to do it. And there's different ways to do it. Some people are snowbirds. They're happy with that. They have a house. They pack up the camper in the winter and they drive south and they spend the winter down south. It's not necessarily work camping, but that is a way to see, things and do things. If you're looking to do what we have done, I think it's outstanding. It's refreshing to have less, to not worry about so many things. And less responsibility, less to clean, less to do.
Oh yeah.
I think it's and obviously we make less money. I mean, we made decent money when we were working full-time jobs, but now we don't work full-time jobs, but we don't have all that stuff to maintain. We don't have 2 cars. We're not paying for 2 insurances. And, so there's so many things that we left behind that was really just baggage.
Exactly.
So for us, it feels great. If you're the type of person that thinks you want to do that, then, go for it. But everybody's got their thing, because you're going to give up some time with the grandkids. You're going to give up, all your tools. You may give up, all your crafts or, so there's a lot of sacrifice to do the things we do. And we just say, that's just the cost of doing what we're doing.
So Colorado Martini has a good question. Do you have any regrets?
I do not. Jill, any regrets? Full-time RVing?
I want my washer.
Jill wants her washer and dryer.
Oh, yes. I can understand how you might feel about that.
So pros and cons,
Mm-hmm.
If you're working at a campground, you usually have a washer and dryer available. Some of them will make you pay. Some will have it paid for you. The last campground we worked at, we had a washer and dryer, but we had to pay. The one prior to that, we had our own personal Workcamper washer and dryer, but you had to walk over to another office in order to do it. So Jill misses her washer and dryer. She wants one in a camper.
I've seen those, but then your camper gets a lot larger and parking becomes more difficult. So there's less things you're going to see. Michael's training me well. He's taught me how to wear the same underwear 3 days in a row.
Oh, come on now. Shh. But I'm going to pivot right off of that before we go into that one. But look at what Dan has to say here. Is it khakis and that one went away, but khakis and polo shirts. And I've got to say is that, I was watching 30 in a Wake Up with Kevin, and he was talking about merino wool. And I thought, I normally like the cotton or just fine, or, the synthetics, but I did get some of those and they dry out so quick. You could put them in the sink and wring them out because you don't want to put them in the washer and dryer anyway. But, some of it depends on the type of clothing you can get. And, Izzy, I guess it was, Endless RVing. He's got like these pants. You can just put a garden hose on them. I think they were $140 pants, but I don't think you'd have to change them all year, so sometimes you have less clothes, right? And you just have things that, Levi's or whatever you have, and you kind of get by in those things.
I will admit that will be my biggest challenge is I have been, I'm going to go way back. When I was like in junior high school, I only had one pair of pants and my butt kept getting bigger and the pants were not getting bigger. So every time I bent over, the pants ripped. And so I kept sewing them. So ever since I left that time period in my life, I have an abundance of clothing. And it's very difficult for me to not change my clothes, with matching earrings every day. So
Grace, when I met you, I thought the holes in your pants were kind of sexy. I don't know what happened.
That's my underpants hanging there with my legs. TMI.
How about VidLift? I want to change the conversation to VidLift.
Okay,
now you have
go
three
ahead.
other colleagues that you have, and you do a awesome show. And tell us a little bit about, you, Donovan, and the boys, is the genesis for it, and what you love about it.
Well, it's all about helping others. And we as a group, we talked, myself, Donovan, David, and Scott, and there's a lot of people that are YouTube creators that search for information, and obviously there's lots of information out there. I mean, you can learn anything you want to learn from some of the YouTube channels that are big. But if you ask a question in their chat, you may or may not get an answer, and if you do get one, it might be a long time from now. So we wanted to create a forum where people could interact and talk about some of the issues that they may have. And in the process of that, if people want to submit a video, a 1 minute segment, we'll go through it and we'll talk about some of the pros and cons and things that, we see that could or may not, change and cause a different outcome. We don't claim to be experts. We're just talking about the information. We're trying to bring about the information in a form of a discussion so that people can learn about links, learn about, microphones and cameras and drones and, just all of those things. And I don't know, it's fun. I enjoy it. I love the gang that's us. As we get together, we have a good time. It's sort of loosey-goosey. We do have a format and we try to stick to it, but we try to have a good time at the same time. And, just talk about things that everybody deal with, introductions, outros, graphics and, all of that stuff.
Well, it seems like when you teach something, you learn it even better. And I wouldn't be surprised if, as you watch other people's videos and in the art of critiquing them, then you say, and you give mostly obvious positive feedback, which is wonderful. But I suppose that it kind of, if it's like, I know your graphics keep getting better every week, but it seems like it helps up your game as well. I get the feeling.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I learned from each of them on the panel and people in the chat as well, because everybody talks about, what they're doing and how they're doing it. And believe me, I've got some really ugly videos and I have broken a lot of the normal practices that people say you should have,
But it is true that I think is that if you wanted to do like what my problem is, the analysis paralysis. Until it gets to be perfect, don't put anything out. On the other hand, if you build a little, test a little, and I think Donovan even has the same book I do, which is, your first videos will suck, but you just got to get in there and try and yes, we have to kind of sometimes put our ego on the shelf. And if you want to, you can delete the video, I suppose, but it's good to go in and just try, and then your game will get better quicker that way.
Yes. I think when it comes to YouTube and YouTube channels, there's different reasons for having a channel. Some people want to build a library of experiences that they can share to their friends and their family. And I think that's great. When I started out, I made videos that Steve Turtle wanted to make, thinking that that's what everybody wanted to watch. That's not always true, but it was the things that I was doing, so I felt like it was appropriate. If you want people to watch your videos, you need to make videos that people are searching for.
That's a good point.
And it's different, and it all depends on, what your objective is with your channel. If you're happy with making a video about the things that you do and sharing it with your family and friends, I think that's great. And other people will watch it as well. But if it's not something that people are searching for, you won't get a lot of views and watch hours and things like that, per se. But all of the things we talk about in VidLift about, choreography and scripting and overlapping layers of music and things like that is great for keeping people into your video. But if you have good content, you can pop a video up there and just talk about it, and people will watch it because it's content they're looking for, and they don't care if there's music or not.
Right. Or your story. If one thing I've noticed, and one thing I find myself attracted to, is a good storyteller. Right. I've been watching a lot of Simply Morgan, I think is her name. And to me, she's entertaining, because she tells a good story. She keeps me interested. I want to see what happens next.
Yeah.
Well, and she's one of these people that, they have a lot of intimacy, and they leave themselves vulnerable, and you think, hey, I'd like this person to be my friend. And I think so often when we think it's, we have this kind of persona, but, when we finally, the real you starts to come out, and you say, I am my niche. We have all these things that we like, if it's your drone footage or whatever the things are, your expertise on like DIYs, those are all great. But sooner or later, it's like you DIY with Tito's, for instance, you really feel like he talks about himself and the process and the why he does and what the benefits are. And I guess that's the challenge, isn't to cut to the chase.
Somebody wants to say hi. He's away.
Hey, baby. You're a beautiful dog. I like your haircut.
He looks like a lion head, though.
He's still happy with the pipe cleaner coming out of his butt. It looks like a dust buster. Cleaky, I need dusting over in this
like
area.
One of those mini blind cleaners.
That's right. There we go.
Unstoppable Morgan. Yeah, that's who I'm talking about.
That's it. So when it comes to when you were out in your assignments, I mean, there's a lot of aspects in terms of there were probably some jobs that you said, well, maybe this isn't the best or the best now or things like that. Or you've got like Kathleen or other people that say, well, here's the thing you need to be sensitive to if you're going to have this assignment. And you get, I guess you call it street smart or whatever the things are. Is that, have you found, is it over the years, is that, these are really the cherry assignments? I know you wouldn't want to tell us those, just kidding. But, are there certain things that you found for your and Jill's needs or preferences that are ones that you're more have matriculated to that you didn't initially have? Like say, doing guard assignments. I would think a guard assignment, I don't know if there's risk. I don't think you're probably supposed to have a rifle or a handgun, but maybe some jobs it might have more security has a factor. I'm just wondering what you've learned over the last 3 years.
Well, we gate guarded one time. We did it for 10 weeks. And it was a very good experience for us. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It is not very hard, but it is very restrictive in this respect that you're responsible for that gate for 24/7, and someone has to be there all the time. So that means you cannot leave unless somebody stays there. So you're doing things alone.
Too much responsibility.
But it's a very easy job. It's not hard. You literally stand by a gate, sign people in and out, and that's it. And you don't necessarily,
You or your spouse or who you're with, Grace, not just you, one person.
Well, that's still 12 and 12, honey.
Yeah, you take
it could
turns.
be if that's the way you wanted to do it, or like 4 6-hour shifts, however you want to do it. But I would think if somebody doesn't have mobility and they like to read, this would maybe be a perfect assignment. If they're not into interpersonal skills or whatever, that might be the assignment for them.
Yeah, it's a job that, it's not for everybody, but it is for me, it's a quick way to make easy money for 2 reasons. One, you're not getting paid a whole lot of money, but then again, you're not doing a whole lot of work for the money you're getting paid. And the other thing
goodness knows you can't go to Costco that often to spend money.
Exactly. You can't go away to spend that money. So you make money. Because if you go shopping, you got about, 4 hours to get it done and get back.
So Mobang Tim says, you never know which video will run wild. I still don't understand my 3 minutes of how to unlock a stuck. The glove box got lots of hits. That, that's true. I mean, sometimes it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time, or something going on with the world or the news that things just pick up and you're there at that moment. So, I always say, just don't knock it. Go for it. Enjoy it.
Right.
Change your thumbnail if you think that you might get more hits off of it with a better thumbnail. So,
Michael, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Steve.
Start wrapping up. So, what's your advice on turning work camping into YouTubing and the journey of how the two combine together for the most potential?
Wow, that's a tough one.
I don't know if I'm an expert in telling anyone about the most potential, but I believe as far as a work camper is concerned, you will run out of things to talk about for work camping. Now, there's always new experiences, but there's it's sort of like campground reviews and DIYs and product reviews. There's only so many products that you can review, and if you count up all the YouTubers that are actually reviewing those products, you get a little overlap.
True.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that because everybody presents something a little differently. So you're going to have that. If you're a work camper and you want to come up with a YouTube channel, I think that's great. It's a very, very small niche because I'm talking about things that a new person that wants to work camp would want to know. If you're an experienced work camper, you've been doing it for a while, you don't need to be told where to find jobs. You don't need to be told about, what experiences someone may have. So if you start niching everything down, I've got a little bitty community. It's small. It's about as big as Chicken's head.
Tell us more about your chicken.
Well, Chicken and I, we fell in love when we were in Missouri. And prior to Chicken, I had Monkey. Monkey was purchased at a yard sale and was our lucky charm. So Monkey has been riding around with us in the truck. I think Monkey's in the truck right now. And he keeps us safe. Chicken came along. I found Chicken in a thrift store. Actually, I think Jill bought Chicken. Did you buy Chicken?
chicken was at Missouri.
Yeah. So Jill purchased chicken and brought him home. And then later on, we found dog and turtle.
And so you have a handful of personas on people that are your acting guild, right? Your staff.
Yeah, and the other characters, they're just in my head. There's Carl, and we have Red Neckerson.
Oh, I love that, Red Neckerson. That is cool.
But I'm wondering, do you do some like they're thematic, like say when you go to different places? I mean, if you're like some of them, you only have to work. I shouldn't say only. You only need to work 10 hours a week, and
right.
Yeah, I don't know if you take your truck off and do some day trips, and I mean certainly in the Amish country, I guess you've been there enough. You've probably done all those, but you go to some new locations. You ever like consider doing something about what to see in the area?
Well, we've done a few. I mean, like I said, you run out of things to talk about as far as work camping. So we've done several travel videos. I like them. I'm still trying to, the story format is difficult for adventure videos. So I'm working on trying to get a feel of a story format for, those types of videos. So it follows like the story arc, but I'm still playing around with it.
Yeah, it is definitely a recipe. And I think that, trying to find the key ingredients sometimes is the biggest challenge. But for us, I think that we're going to continue just doing what we do. And when it works, it works.
Sure.
But in order to be authentic, we need to stick into what we are really doing at that time and not go chasing, the hot topic or the hot keyword.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think being authentic is just doing what you do. If you're chasing what everybody else is doing, trying to do it different or better, I think that's not necessarily authentic.
Right.
What I mean about a story is in your mind, if you go through the thoughts about a storyline, and then when you're camping and you're shooting your video and doing what you're doing, you're sort of trying to follow that a little bit. It's not that it's scripted so much as you just sort of learn the video and the dialogue that you want to tell, so that you're leaving little tidbits along the way that keep people following the story.
Exactly. Now, Sue says, don't go chasing waterfalls, but I have to disagree because I actually love chasing waterfalls.
She does. Yeah.
I do.
Water is magnificent. It is amazing. The power of water is amazing.
It is. Ironically, I just updated the thumbnail today for Watkins Glen, which is a place in upstate New York that we've sent a few of our fellow YouTubers, and they've really enjoyed it. And I don't know, it's got a couple of hundred views maybe, but I just feel that the content in that video is much better than 200 views. So I updated the thumbnail today. And that might be where I go back. But as far as the content, I'm really proud of that video.
Yeah. And on that note, honey, why don't you, I'm sure in your room, you must have some of your rocks, and we'd like to share that. But can you get like a couple of your rocks, and we'll kind of talk about those just for a minute while that's happening. I'm wondering if you meant to be RVing Mike and Therese when we got up with them at LC Falls up in Oregon for the O21 or whatever you'd like to call it. And Red and Tim and others were there. And Mike and Therese, she is big time into geocaching. And I mean, some of these people that have hobbies that they can incorporate into their videos, I just think it's phenomenal where, whatever it is that you have for a passion, in addition to doing the RV element, to some people, they find these other things that it's sort of like Mr. Rogers' show and tell. Honey, do you have a rock that you can share?
Most of them are in the RV because we're getting ready to go out on a trip, and I'm going to take them with us. But yeah, I do love, it's a very, I just want to go ahead and stay. We're going to be off in 55 seconds, but we might run over a little bit.
Well, wait a second. I don't think that they have a 6 o'clock coming up tonight.
I was just going to say that, honey, that Gina will not be on tonight because she is with her grandkids. So anyway, this is the only one that I could find, right off the top for a rock.
What do we have rock? Let me see Kevin draw.
You get a little closer too, honey. Go ahead and get a little closer with it. There you go. Beautiful. But it's about like the size. Oh, look at this.
Oh, wouldn't you know the turtles are green?
Do you leave them for people to find?
No, this is mine.
Oh, these are special.
Yeah, I had that problem when I first started is I would paint them and my intention was to leave them for other people to find. But then I just kept taking them down to our garden. But now I'm ready to start leaving them. So I've got them in the RV and we're going to paint them. And you'll see on the review of Shaver's Lake, there is a part where I find this rock and the rock looked like it's sleeping, no pun intended, but a sleeping turtle. And so the sleeping turtle, as I creeped up on him, I was like, oh, and I put an eye in his little crack and crevice. So it looked like he was watching us and it was just perfect and it was ideal. And I thought, I want this rock to stay here. So what can I write on the back?
Honey, you are a geocache creator.
Okay. So what I wrote on the back is, remember, with wisdom comes responsibility. So it's like, okay, well, you can leave the rock here or you can take the rock with you. But
yes, I like
Colorado
that.
Martini cool. Here, by the way, they do so good, and they're well researched. I don't know if they get Wikipedia, they buy books or things, but the places they go, and we've tried to have some of those also. I don't know if we'll be ever can get up to their level, but it's kind of interesting. Is that I'm not? That's not the right click. I don't know if you see it there, but basically when they go out, they have things that they get the history and the background and the flavor of it. And everybody has their own niche, I guess you would call it. But Denise and Patrick, we love the people that have things where it has some depth. And that's not everybody's thing. Some people want the scene to change every 5 seconds and they want it to be spectacle. And so I guess, like you said, when you've got your channel, you have to decide, is that who's your target audience? Once you know who you're selling to, is that then you can hopefully start to deliver for what their needs are. But there's a lot of room for all of us out there, I do believe.
Sure. Absolutely.
Well, we have absolutely loved having you on our show tonight. And thank you so much for being here. It's been awesome getting to know you better.
Namaste.
Well, Namaste. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for inviting me. I appreciate the time.
Enjoyed it. Hope to meet you up somewhere on the right coast somewhere. I don't know if you're going to any of the big events where, other than the one we've got near the Grand Tetons. I guess the next will be Quartzsite for us. But will you ever be coming out this way, or will we have a chance to meet out your way?
Well, we're on our bucket list is the Northwest. Period.
Okay.
And we just can't seem to get there, but hopefully, maybe next spring, summer, we can get that direction.
We finally got our stamp from a little bit of Oregon, but we're hoping to get Washington in the next week or two. So
yeah, we're going to go grab Washington for sure. That'll be on our map. It'll be the one that we fill this time.
And we're going to be honored to be displaying one of your stickers as we prominently go around the state. So we'll advertise for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Speaking of, before we go real quick, just to reiterate, and this is for you, Steve, as well. Hold on. They're supposed to be, okay, want a sticker swap, and we want a sticker swap with you, Steve. And anybody else out there watching as well, go ahead and send us your address to Michael at CaliforniaTravelVideos.com. And we will send you a sticker. If you have one to send us, we would be more than happy to give you an address to go ahead and send that.
There it is.
I want my sticker.
Yeah, great artwork on that. Did Jill do that?
No, I did that.
Oh, look at you. I knew you were a sleeper.
Get that in
Good
the
for
mail
you.
tonight. I want it on our trip before we leave.
Okay, I'll get it in the mail.
Well, it's probably their bedtime, darling. Thank you so much for the time, Steve. We've been looking forward to this for a long time. And as we like to say in the business, happy trails to you until we meet again. And Jill
All
also.
right. Thanks so much.
Okay, be sure to go by their channel, guys. Okay, take care.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Oh.